Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Defining Your Brand podcast. Today on the podcast, I have Nikki Nicole, the founder of A Log Cabin in Brooklyn, which is a jewelry company that she founded. This jewelry is amazing. I love her aesthetic. I love everything that she's doing, and the story behind it is even more amazing. This woman is even a caretaker of her mother who has Alzheimer's, as well as being a business owner. So people like her just really inspire me, and I hope that she inspires you today. Please enjoy this episode. Well, we'll get started. So Nikki, thank you for being here today. I'm so excited to have you on.
I am so excited.
Yeah, and I've been following you for a little while because we are in a mutual Facebook group, and I love all the things that you do. So for those of people listening that don't know what you do, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Okay, all right. Well, I am a full-time caregiver in addition to being a content creator and a jewelry designer.
Nice. So I know you from the jewelry design standpoint. I do know some of the other things that is going on. So let's start there and talk a little bit about your jewelry company.
Absolutely. Okay, so the jewelry company really started when I became a full-time caregiver.
Okay.
So my mom, 10 years ago, was diagnosed when she was 56 years old with early onset Alzheimer's. And at the time, I was 27, and for me, life just got so real. Like, everything stopped.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, are you serious? Because
Right.
Alzheimer's doesn't run in my family. So
Oh, really?
it was definitely no, it really doesn't. So it was definitely a shock. And I just knew I wanted to be there for her. So I had quit my career, and I say career, not job, because I had graduated college and started a career in the fashion industry as an account executive. And for 4 years, I hustled hard until finally they promoted me, gave me literally a corner office with an assistant. I mean, I made it. Right? Like, oh, I made
That
it.
dream, yeah.
Yeah, that's the dream, because I was like Carrie. I don't know if Carrie did that from Sex and the City, but I was like the intern running around the streets of Manhattan with the rolling rack of clothes. I mean, it was so much, and I, running around with the heels on and all that jazz. So when I got promoted, I was so excited. But then at the same time, that's when my mom got diagnosed. So I had quit, even though that was a big decision. I knew that it was right for me to do that, to just be there for her. And when I became her caregiver, I don't think I realized how much of a challenge it would have been. I was just like, all right, look, we're gonna go to Staples. We're gonna get this big wall calendar. We're gonna mark out each day, have a task to do. We're gonna change our diets, be vegan, be organic. I was ready, with a mental plan of how this was gonna go down. But actually being in the situation was so much crazier because my mom, she was still really young, and I think she was battling the diagnosis and the depression that came along with it. And she was very angry and just full of she was angry because she was actually a nurse for patients with dementia. So I could understand why she was so angry. And I tried really hard to find ways to get her out of the depression, like yoga, tai chi, volunteering with kids, going grocery shopping and cooking slow meal. Nothing worked until one day my sister suggested us trying a hobby of making jewelry. And that worked. It was like magic. It worked. So yeah, she started making jewelry, and then both of us took classes and learned how to make pieces. And then she just could not stop making them. So one day when we were grocery shopping at a farmer's market, a lady stopped us and asked us where we got our earrings from. And I said, oh, no, we made it. And she said, oh, where do you sell? Where do we sell? Yes, that's right. We should sell.
That's right.
So yeah, that's how the business started.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
So what was the next steps? Did you immediately start selling, or how did you did the switch flip there?
Oh my God. Yeah. Great question. So we started through Etsy. That was like the easiest thing to start a shop there. And because we had a massive amount of pieces, because my mom was like so addicted to making all these different pieces, we had a lot of inventory. And I did a lot of house parties at the time so that people could come through and, we could shop and talk. And that was really great. And then I, at the same time, had started a blog, a personal online journal for myself, talking about the journey at becoming my mom's full-time caregiver. Because when I became her caregiver, I moved out of my studio so that I could be close to her. Because before I was just having her, stay in my apartment on the weekends, and it's a studio. And
Oh, wow.
upset. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I moved into this basement apartment, and it was a house that was right next door to my mom. So anyway, in that apartment had wood paneling everywhere, and I was losing my mind because it also had these fluorescent light bulbs, and it used to like make that little, that murder noise. It was so creepy, and I was losing it. And then I kept on having like migraines, and I'm just like, okay, I can't. And still at the same time showing up for my mom, showing up for my dog and my cat and myself. It was just too much. So I started writing about it online. And I called my online journal A Log Cabin in Brooklyn. So I said, if we're going to start this shop, might as well connect it. So I called our line. Well, I called our shop A Log Cabin in Brooklyn. And I called our collection of jewelry Cabin Fever, because we were stuck at home trying to make the most of this new lifestyle and this new situation. And I find it so significant now because like the world has cabin fever, you know what I mean?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you keep the murder lights and the wood paneling?
No, I actually became obsessed with interior design from that. And I was really convinced that there was a way to delay a lot of the effects that happen to someone who suffers with Alzheimer's. Because the doctors at the time, this was 10 years ago, really didn't have advice to offer or suggest. So I did a lot of research on the senses. So like, instead of targeting just the brain and the mind, how about other areas like the sense of smell and sight and touch? So putting that with interior design really had a great effect on myself and on my mom. So my mom, she loved the color red. So I made sure to put red in every room so that she felt like this was her space, because she had this tendency, and a lot of people with Alzheimer's have it, where they always feel like they need to go home. I mean, even if they're in the house, they're just like, I gotta go home right now. I need to leave. I need to go home. So by adding the color red, it made her feel comfortable. Like she wanted to be here because her special color was in the room. And then when it came to sense of smell, I researched about different scents that would allow you to feel calm and relaxed, because she also suffered with sundowning, and that means when the sun goes down, so depending on the season, spring and summer, it's going to go down maybe around 7 p.m. And fall and winter, it goes down around 4:30, 5 o'clock. Right. So when that would happen, oh my God, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. So those little fluorescent lights that I had, I got rid of all of them, and I replaced it with daylight light, which is an LED bulb that you can get on Amazon. And that had a tremendous effect. However, it didn't solve the entire problem, because she could still see out the window. So she used to open the window and see, and she'd be like, oh, is that somebody's coming for me? Getting all anxious. So I got these window film to go on the windows, and she's short. She's 4'3", and I'm 5'7". So I wish I was 6. I mean, can you imagine? Right. So yeah, I only put it on the bottom part because that's all she could see, and on the top part, I just left it open. Anyway, that in conjunction with the new lighting was such a huge game changer. And I felt really good too, because I was getting really anxious too with her being so anxious, and I didn't know what to do and how to solve the problem. And again, when I would talk to other people and other caregivers, nobody had an answer. So this all really happened that first year. It was a very, very intense and challenging year, but with everything that I've read and that I really researched on my own, I was able to develop a better life system for us as far as our home life and then our daily activities, like very militaristic with a lot of things. So making time to just do jewelry, because mommy was doing jewelry like all day long. But I don't think that that was the best thing for her. You know, you need to have breaks. So thankfully I have a dog. So I would make sure that after we ate lunch, we would go out and we would walk the dog and then come back and then have some downtime watching a TV show that she enjoyed and then getting back into work. But, you know, all that structure is something that developed confidence in her.
Yeah.
And for me, it developed serenity. Like I just felt very calm. Like, okay, I know what we're doing right now. It's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that answered the question. Yeah, I got rid of those lights.
Yeah, good. Because I'd probably go crazy if I was had those kind of lights. Even like anytime I've been in an office or a school or something like that, when they have those lights, I was like, I can't focus. I can't do anything.
I remember when I was working in corporate and they had those lights, and I noticed another older lady had a desk lamp in her cubicle.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, now that's smart.
Yeah.
Because that's better for you. You know, it's better for your mood. It's better for your eyes. Like, that's what I started doing after I saw her do it. And I'm like, this actually works. So yeah, lighting has a lot to do with your mood. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. And I love too what you said about the schedule, because I think that even for those of us that have something that we really love, if you don't take a break from it, I think it makes it hard for you to look forward to it, to enjoy it, to, you know, all those things, because you don't get that break from it. It's just like anything else. You need to like walk away from it a minute just so you can remember what you want to do and come back to it.
Absolutely. You know, that quote about absence making the heart grow fonder is a fact. It really is. Even if you're passionate about something, if you don't take a break, you're going to burn out. You're going to all of a sudden no longer be desiring to do this thing that once captured your entire heart. Now you don't want to do it. And I never want to get like that, because, you know, I love certain things. I love my mom. I love being here to help her. But if I don't take breaks for myself as a caregiver, I will burn out. And then I won't have time to do the things that I enjoy personally. Like, I do enjoy writing. I enjoy designing. I enjoy playing with my dog and messing around with my cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So taking breaks is totally essential. Yeah.
How do you, for someone, I mean, you are an entrepreneur, you are a caregiver, you do all these things. So like, what do you find what works best for you as far as taking breaks? Because there's probably other people listening to this that are in the same situation and they don't know how to take a break.
Yeah, I know. That's so tricky too. Like, it really depends on your lifestyle. Now, I want to thank my mom and my dad for being how and who they were, because my dad was in the military, so he raised me very militaristic. Yeah. Whereas my mom was like a boho, Scandinavian, free spirit, let's be spontaneous type of woman. I really don't know how they got together, but from them, I gathered certain things, and so my spirit is very freestyle, but I cannot survive without a routine or ritual. Yeah. So I find a really cool mix for my own lifestyle. So how I do that is I have a schedule, and I'm playing it like old school and new school. So old school, I use a journal that I actually write things out on. You know, like I take a moment in the mornings, early mornings or late evenings, and I just have a free writing type of situation going on where I just write out everything that I want to accomplish. Yeah. Then I use a digital journal, and it's called the Happiness Planner. And on there, it is so awesome because you can schedule out your to-dos, and it also syncs with your Google Calendar. So I also use Google Calendar to write out block schedules of things that I want to get done for specific days, and also for the weekends as well. Because even though the weekends are a bit more fluid, you know, I try not to be too tight with what I'm planning, but I still like to have a plan there. Yeah. So how I've been able to incorporate taking breaks, again, I work with my lifestyle. So I know, like right now, my mom's in the last stages of Alzheimer's. So that means that she is not going to speak a lot more. She's going to be more drowsy and tired. Yeah. So I take advantage of those moments by being up when she's asleep. So my break times are usually found in my rituals at night. And that's where I'll do like, facials, or I'll do my nails, or I'll take a moment and make pancakes and watch like some movie or TV show. And I usually do that between the hours of 8 to 10:45 p.m. because you know that on your iPhone, there's a little app, and you can find out how it's on your alert or your clock app.
Okay.
And you can do it so that it can regulate how many hours you need to have to be fully rested. So I already calculated it, and it said if I go to sleep by 10:45 p.m. and wake up at like 6 a.m., I would have all the hours that I needed to sleep. Yeah. So I always make sure to go to sleep by 10:45. So anyway, I will, I know it's like really meticulous. But
structure. I mean, I feel like even people that aren't structured need structure. They may not like it, but I feel like it helps all of us.
If you think about it, it really does. You know, when you were in school, I remember being in high school, and we had a schedule, and every hour or every 2 hours, there was some place that you had to be. Even lunch was scheduled. Right. So that really helped you to understand and feel comfortable with knowing what your day was going to look like and how it was going to feel. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if they schedule those breaks and it could still have a nice flow, then why can't we do that as adults? Because I noticed also in college, we didn't have a schedule. We just had a syllabus, specific classes, and you could go if you wanted to, but you didn't have to. Right. And I find it better to know that this is my structure and I have to do this. So like for my mom and myself in the mornings, I make sure that we have a ritual in the morning, and that is we wake up. I usually put a music in the background, like a lo-fi Spotify playlist. Yeah. That really helps to calm her down, and it calms me down too. Yeah. And then once that's going, thankfully I have the Amazon Echo, and I have her turn on the lights at a specific time so that mommy knows that it's time to wake up. And then we go to the bathroom, we brush our teeth, we wash our face, we get ready for our day. You know what I mean? But that is all set in a specific hour, and that hour is at 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. That's when we're doing our morning ritual. Yeah. And then from 8 forward, we're getting going with our day. But I hope I answered the question okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. So tell us a little bit more. I know you've kind of touched on it a lot, actually, the caregiving side of things, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you've wanted to kind of create a group or something around people that are going through that same experience.
Absolutely. Oh my God, I love this question. Yes, I wanted to create a virtual support group because, believe it or not, I'm an introvert. And I like people, I just don't love them. So, I mean, it's for me, I stutter, and even though a lot of times people don't notice that, but I just feel some type of way. So I knew I wanted something that I could still feel confident to start. And for me, virtual was the way. Plus, it could help people throughout the world because it is virtual. Yeah. Also, another reason why I wanted to start it is because I was and I still am, a young caregiver. And all the support groups that I went to, the caregivers were retired. And it was very difficult to bond with them, either because, I have a lot of experience because I've been dealing with my mom for so many years, and a lot of the retired caregivers that were there, they didn't have that much experience. So, for example, there was like a 70-year-old, and she's taking care of her 92-year-old mother who was diagnosed 2 years ago. So me, at the time, I had been her caregiver for 8 years. Wow. They were talking about, something that they were going through, like her mother didn't want to eat the food that she was giving her. So I suggested to play around with color, like find out what kind of color she likes. Because I remember my mom, she just stopped eating one day. And I'm like, what? What's up with that? Because she could eat. Yeah. So I said, you know what? Maybe because she loves red. It was always red, everything red. So I said, well, maybe I should get some red plates and a red cup and, try and see if that works. Because I used to be an after-school teacher for children who had autism. Okay. And color and music really helped them. It stimulated them. So I was like, well, maybe I can do that with her. And it worked. So I suggested it to the lady, and she's like, well, I really don't know if you know what I'm talking about. I don't
Mhm.
really think that you can advise me because I've been
You're
doing this
so
for a
young.
while. What? And it
Right.
was just so crazy, but I got that a lot. I
Yeah.
got shut down from making these suggestions. And I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm an expert because
Right.
now we're going on
Experience.
11 years. Right.
Yeah.
Today's sponsor is brought to you by Live Well, Love Well Apparel. Live Well, Love Well Apparel is a t-shirt company, but it's not just a t-shirt company. I mean, how many times have you bought a t-shirt and that you've loved, but it's actually not doing anything other than just being an extra t-shirt in your closet? How many of you have bought something to support a cause or support an organization, and you bought something, but it may be something that you never wear or never really cared about? Live Well, Love Well Apparel is changing that. So how it's doing that is that it is designing t-shirts that you actually want to wear. This material is soft, it's got tri-blend material, it's comfortable, and it's just an amazing t-shirt and something that, like I said, you want to wear and want to pair with other things in your closet. And not only that, but it's a company that gives back. So this company right now is donating the proceeds to No Kid Hungry. No Kid Hungry is an organization that helps kids that may not have access to food for at home. So when they go to school, that they have a meal that's provided for them. Right now in this pandemic, though, kids don't have that opportunity. They're not at school where school lunches are provided. So No Kid Hungry is making sure that these kids that normally have food provided for them still have a meal. So go check out Live Well, Love Well Apparel by going to lwlwapparel.com.
So I just wanted a platform where I could share and also get support from
Right.
other caregivers who I could bond with. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I started this virtual support group after my sister pushed me to do it. So I think about 2 weeks now.
Okay.
It's here, and I'm still a little anxious about marketing and advertising it because I don't know. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yes, I'm really, really happy that it's there, and I think it's going really well right now. Where I'm doing it in a different way that I haven't seen done before, which is now again, I'm militaristic with certain stuff.
Hey,
So
all right.
so I have an email subscribe list.
Yeah.
I have a agenda that I send a week in advance so that everyone is aware of what we're going to be speaking on. It's just for an hour long. And then I have like set guidelines to keep it kind of
Yeah.
gangsta. And then at the same time, I have a focused topic so that we stay on target because it is an hour, which is a lot for caregivers. We
Mm,
sometimes don't have a lot of time. So
right.
I try to be mindful of that. So right now we're on a series that I created called Coping as a Caregiver in COVID. So
Nice.
hoping that that can continue to go well. And yeah, I'm just excited about it.
That's cool. Well, and I love what you said because I think a takeaway from what you said for me and probably some other people that are out there is that like we need to be careful about looking at other people that have gone through something and assuming that
Mm,
they don't have an experience or they
yeah.
can't teach us something because they're not in a stage of life or they don't understand
Yes.
or because you can get you know learn something from anyone, and which is why I love doing things like this because it's like allowed me to come away with you know just takeaways that I probably wouldn't have thought of just because other people are in different stages of life than I am.
Right. I love that. You're dropping all these jewels. I thought
Hey,
I was the jewelry designer. Look at
you,
you.
you're just handing them to me. I'm just showing them back.
I
Um,
like it.
you're funny. So what what does life look like for you owning a business and taking care of someone like during the day? You talked about your ritual and the going to sleep. So what does your days look like?
Oh, that's a really good question too. So with Alzheimer's, every day is going to be different, but for the most part, you kind of have a general understanding of how it's going to go.
Mm.
So for me, again, having the ritual really helps. So during the morning and the daytime, the early daytime is really focused on my mom and making sure that she's set up with her color therapy and her music therapy right now in the stage that she is in, which is stage 7, the last stage of Alzheimer's. Um, she's not aware of her environment or people in her environment. So it's kind of hard to bond with her. But what I can do is what I do. And I have like this little quote where I'm sure everyone has heard of this before, but control what you can control. And I've just been focused on that mantra for a while now, but I made myself stop feeling guilty for my mom in this stage. And I don't know why that happens, where it's like, you know, you can't prevent this person being sick, but you still feel guilty that they are sick.
Right.
And I had to stop that. And I had to understand, like, I can't control that, but I can control what I can. So I can set her up with her music therapy because I know that she enjoys that. And I can set her up with a coloring book and this is my mom's little playlist right here. So I always make sure that it's playing. But yeah, I can control those things. So that's what I try to focus on. And so yeah, the daytime is really focused on that. And then around 1 o'clock into the rest of the day is my time where I get online and I try to post things. And I love automation, which is why I love having an Amazon Echo and also having Siri. Anything that can relieve me of little things that I don't have to do, I appreciate, because I'm a sole full-time caregiver, which just means I'm doing this by myself and I don't have any help. Especially now with COVID and we're all in quarantine, I really don't have any help. Right. But I like knowing I have my robot vacuum. So days where I just don't feel like doing it, I have it set up so it can run on its own. And then again, you know, like having, and you would be surprised, because I remember my dad came over one time before quarantine and I had asked Alexis to put something on. Oh man, I said her name.
I know. I always think, oh, don't say it. She's listening.
Right, she's always listening. So I remember I told her to put the lights on, right? And my dad was like, that looks like something for somebody who would need it if they're lazy. It is not.
No.
It really isn't. Even if it was, it's your prerogative. But
I would say the opposite. It's for someone who's busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So busy. So yeah, that really helps me tremendously. Even when I'm cooking. And then, you know, one time this happened. I was cooking, but I had asked my Amazon Echo to set a timer for 20 minutes. And at that time, everything was fine. But then all of a sudden, my mom got sick. She starts throwing up. So I'm like, oh, that's not on schedule, is it? No, it's not. But still, it needs attention. So I had to pull her into the bathroom. Then I have to clean her up. Then, you know, change her clothes. Then clean the bathroom. And thank God I had Amazon Echo, who alerted me that I needed to go check the stove. So our food was in. See, like things like that. Yeah, I need to have a system that's going to help me. And so those are pretty much what my days look like. I have a set schedule, but I allow for fluidity to happen. So because sometimes things just happen, like the weather might be off, and this happened last week Monday. It rained so bad, my dog didn't want to go out to relieve himself, so he did it in my office on the curtains. Thanks, you know.
Right.
So that was not on schedule, but you know, making myself feel guilt-free by allowing myself gaps within my structure really helps me to feel less overwhelmed and helps me to avoid burnout, because I understand that I have certain things already set up for me, like, and the littlest things too, like my pantry system, making sure that I have like the certain amount of paper towels and wash rags, just in case, like, I don't know, the pipe bursts, or maybe like my mom, she was having a smoothie, but it all fell on the floor. So, you know, like little things like that. I already know I have myself set up in case of emergencies or accidents.
Yeah. I love what you said about controlling what you can control, because I find that so many people focus on the opposite. And even in my mind, I was thinking, you got to let go of the things that you can't control. But I think that one of the downfalls of focusing on that is that then you don't do anything, because you're like, well, I can't do anything. I'm not in control of anything, so I'm just going to do nothing. And so it's like, well, no, there are still things that we can control. We just got to, once we let go of those things that we can't and we don't have control over, then, okay, let's look at the things that we can. What can we be proactive about? What can we do? Because, you know, and what you said is a perfect example about or
Yeah.
example of, because um, things do need attention and life is unexpected. So
Yeah.
what can we do to make it more efficient and more easy on us, you know?
Yeah, and one other thing I want to add to your point is to be gentle with yourself.
Mm,
To make space to be gentle for yourself, because um, I've been there before where I just felt like, yeah, what, forget all this. I'm not doing nothing
right,
because I feel like everything is just out of control. Like,
right,
I felt burnt out because this actually happened recently where I was just like, I'm not gonna eat right today. I don't care.
right.
Because my mom, she had a bathroom accident, and then my dog peed, and I'm like, what is happening here?
What?
And then my plant started to die. So I just was like, you know what? I'm having pizza today. I cannot. I
Right,
am not with it.
right.
And when you're gentle with yourself, you allow yourself to feel those feelings, you
Mhm.
honor those feelings and that emotion at that time, and then move on.
Mm,
That's how you are controlling what you can control. Because
yeah,
if I had just, bit my lip and just, went through the motions and did what I had to do, I don't think I would have turned that into a positive situation. For me, it became a positive situation because I honored those feelings. So, and when is the last time you've ever washed your curtains? I thought
right,
about that. I was like, that's true. It's been a
right.
year. So
Yeah,
at
maybe it's
least I got to
time.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But
And then
yeah,
yeah. Mhm.
it's like, and I think that, so I can be like this. A lot of people I know can be like this, but they'll push themselves. So they're like, I don't have time to fall apart, you know? And then what happens is that eventually you kind of give out and you're just like, then you fall apart, not on your own terms, but because you,
Burnout.
yeah, because there's no other choice. And then it seems like that's when it lasts longer and that's when it hits harder. And then you can't bounce back from it. So just to allow yourself, like, hey, tonight's the night I'm going to eat a pizza or whatever I have to do, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, you really do need to be gentle with yourself. Like, even though things have a structure at the same time, make space for fluidity, like maybe you have been going hard working out and then all of a sudden you just don't want to. Okay, don't. Maybe just focus your energy on eating better that day
Right.
or for that week. Because really, I mean, eating plant-based diet is where it's at. You know what I mean? But to make the point even clearer is just you really have to, it is so necessary to make time to show up for yourself, being gentle with yourself, because if not, you will suffer burnout, caregiver or not.
Yeah.
And you don't want that because, like you said, it will take longer to recoup than if you had just taken that moment to do. I had that pizza. I was all gravy, baby. I
Right.
was so good. Like,
Right.
I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I made time. But of course, now I have to work on my Peloton just a little bit harder, but it was worth it.
Worth it. Hey, I feel you. So what's next for you? You know, as you're going forward, you are a business owner, you're a caretaker, you're doing all these things. What's next?
So what's next for me is really to launch a platform for caregivers specifically. I am actually working on a big project. I'm working on an interactive journal for caregivers
Oh,
because
cool.
that's originally how I started is, writing my own journal about my own thoughts.
Yeah.
And along this caregiving journey, I've discovered lots of things that have helped me. And I think that we're doing that now. We're discovering things that really help our moods and our vibe and our energy in our homes. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. And I'm hoping that the support group, the virtual support group that I have, will also turn out to be a really big beneficial help for many of the caregivers out here. I am targeting millennial and young caregivers, but I would love for any caregiver to find solace in that.
Yeah. So if people are looking for that specifically, where can they find that?
Oh, snap. Okay, well, they can find it if they follow me on Instagram at a log cabin in Brooklyn, and it's literally spelled out like that.
Yeah.
I know it's super long, but as soon as you start putting it in, it'll show up for itself.
Yep.
And then once they follow me, they can DM me for the private Facebook group that I have just for the virtual millennial caregivers. And then that's where they can find all the good stuff in. I have like lots of resources, and I've also made it into a space where other caregivers can offer feedback and resources. Like there was a caregiver whose mom has Alzheimer's. She's had it for a few years.
Okay.
And her caree had recently lost her partner, her husband. And she was wondering, like, what do you do when you're caring for someone who has Alzheimer's but who's also in mourning?
Yeah.
And so amazing that there was another caregiver there who had gone through something like that years ago, where her grandmother had Alzheimer's and passed, and her mother was taking care of her grandmother. And then her mother, years later, ended up having Alzheimer's, but reminiscing about her own mom. So she was able to provide a lot of great resources for this new caregiver. And it was just so amazing, like the way that we can each support each other. So I just wanted to continue like that, you know, like the flow that way, where people feel safe to be vulnerable and know that whatever they have to offer is respected and unique.
Nice. So is that also where they can find your jewelry as well?
So they can find my jewelry by following me on a log cabin in Brooklyn. The photos have links on them, so they can also shop there. And right now, you know, my mom, she can't make any of the pieces anymore, but I still have a lot of the pieces that she's made. So I've been upgrading them and making them kind of modern and minimal. And so, yeah, they can shop on my Instagram page or even on my Facebook page. They can find me on my own website at heavy letter
I don't know.
at a log cabin in Brooklyn.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here today and talking about what you do. I think there's so many people out there that are not only entrepreneurs, but they are caregivers, and there's a lot of people that feel alone, and even more so now we're all separate. And so I'm sure that for the people that felt alone already, like it's only being exaggerated in this time. And so I think that the things that you're doing by bringing people together and offering solutions are going to help a lot of those people.
I hope so. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited.
Yes. So everybody that's listening or watching or however you're consuming this, go check out Nikki and everything that she's doing. Yay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.